Yo, what up fellow disc golfers, Adam with High Action Disc Golf. Welcome to my dining room. I've got a little bit different setting today because we're going to be trying something new that I have not tried before. If you've seen some of my previous videos, then you'll know that I've tried a few various dyeing methods. If you have not, feel free to click right up here and check out one of those right now. But if you have, you'll know that I've become pretty proficient at stencil dyeing, and I've also tried my hand at spin dyeing, which turned out pretty well as well. Today I'm going to try a new method of dyeing, which is the glue bed method. I'm really hoping that this goes well because I like the disc that I'm going to be doing this on. I do bag this disc currently, so I hope that it doesn't turn out like crap. With all that said, let's get into it and see how the dye goes. So first off, I'm going to run through the materials that I'm using. I've watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos, and as far as I understand, these materials should be the base for what you need. First off, of course, you're going to need a disc. Today I've chosen my brand new First Run Lucid Evader. If you have not checked out one of these discs, I suggest doing so. I currently bag an Instinct, which is actually the spin dye video that I did a couple of months ago. And this is a perfect complement to that. Just a little bit more overstable than that Instinct, or another disc to compare it to is an Explorer. A little more overstable than an Explorer. A nice complement to it. So I'll be trying to dye on this today. You also need a plastic bin. This bin I bought at the Dollar Tree for $1. As well as a spritz bottle full of water. Also at the Dollar Tree for $1. You will need some form of method to disperse the dye into the glue. I have chosen the small twist nozzle bottles that you can get over in the party section in the dollar store. And I think that I should be able to control the flow with this, put the dye in here, and just slowly squeeze it out into the glue. You will need clear, washable, non-toxic Elmer's glue. You can use other brands from what I've seen. I know Elmer's. I trust Elmer's. I mean, it's the kind of glue that I used when I was a kid, so hopefully I can trust it for this as well. So I was able to get this at Hobby Lobby. What I saw there, the average price is usually $16 for a bottle this big. Thankfully, this was on clearance for $4, so I grabbed a couple of them in case I like this and it turns out well. Hopefully, I'll be able to use a few more of these and do a few more. But some clear Elmer's glue. I've got a few paper cups that I'll be mixing the dye into. And then you will need the dye. So I have a jar of Racing Red RIT Dye More Synthetic. I've used this on a previous dye before. Not one that I filmed, just a previous one that I did for a friend of mine. And then also I've got some Daffodil Yellow. Now, unfortunately, both of the stores that would carry any kind of dye did not have orange dye because I really wanted to do red, orange, and yellow. So I'm actually going to attempt to mix these. That is also something I've never done before, so we'll see how that goes. I'll probably do that off camera because I'm a little nervous about that part. So if it goes like crap, I just won't show you. Anyways, so I've got red and yellow, and I'm hoping to mix up some orange. I've also got a measuring cup, just so that I can get exact measurements of the dye, because from what I've seen, you want to do basically about a 50-50 ratio of dye and water for your mixture. And the last thing is a straw, and this is once you get the bed of glue down with all of the dye, you're supposed to be able to blow the dye around on top of the glue into the pattern that you want. You don't want to swirl it from what I've understood and stick anything into it because you want the dye sitting on top. That's what I've understood, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to follow in everybody else's footsteps. So, anyways, I'm going to get into this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mix up my dyes. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up my yellow, and then I will mix up my red. So I went off camera to do this part at my sink just because I didn't want to get any dye on my table because my wife will kill me. Anyways, so I've mixed up my three colors here. This is the yellow, the red, And this is my attempt at the orange. Basically, I took the red and the yellow, put it in a pan on the stove, and heated it up. Supposedly, that's the way to actually get these dyes to mix. Otherwise, when they're cold, they won't mix at all. They'll just swirl together. So, the next step is to put Elmer's glue into the tray, and I'm going to fill it probably about halfway. I need to fill it enough though that when I set the disc in there, it's not going to sink to the bottom. It'll just kind of hold right there at the top. So I believe probably somewhere between half to 2/3 of this should be enough. We'll see. I may have to go a little more. I may have to go the full bottle. Not really positive yet. This is definitely going to take the entire bottle. Okay, so thankfully I grabbed 2 bottles because I did need them. It actually filled it probably closer to 1/3. So I'm glad that I grabbed 2 bottles. Now, some of the other videos out there that I've seen have a very large jug, but they didn't have one of those in stock. So I just grabbed these, and these are a much better price anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Anyways, what I think I'm going to do now is go through here and try to get rid of some of these bubbles before I start dripping the dye in. So the next step is to add the dye. I think I'm going to add the red first because it's the darkest. And I'm just going to kind of go in just random blotches. I'm going to go real small with the opening first just to see how much will come out in one go. So, okay. Okay, so I do want to open this more. Okay. Now, the next step from what I understood is to lightly spritz the top with some water. So, just going to kind of let it naturally mist. Okay, I got the disc all washed off and ready to go. I will say I am afraid that I got the dye too thin. I just don't know, and I won't know until tomorrow. But it just looks like it's bleeding through the glue. So, like I say, I'm just gonna have to dip it and hope for the best. So we'll see. All right. Please let this evader look sweet. So I'm going to just kind of come in, and I'm gonna come in at an angle, kind of like I do with my stencil dies, just to make sure that I push away any air bubbles. Ooh. Okay. And I totally forgot to blow it. So I'm actually going to try to pull this. This is crazy. I can't believe I just did that. That sucks. So I had a pretty big goof there. I forgot to blow around the dye and kind of swirl it. But I can definitely tell that it is going to dye the disc because I set it in there for literally like 30 seconds and it immediately changed the color of the disc a little bit. But that's okay because I think once I hit it this time, it should just swirl straight over this. I basically barely even touched it. So I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to drip some more dye into it. And then I'm going to swirl it with the straw like I was supposed to. I'm seeing that I'm actually pushing the dye away a little bit, so realizing that, I'm going to add a little more just to be safe. I'm realizing that, so that's okay. Okay, I think that looks pretty cool. I got a decent amount of yellow all swirled around in there. I think I'm going to get just, well, no, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to leave it. Okay, now then, this time I'm going to dip the evader. You can probably see it's ever so lightly pink. That's crazy. Anyways, I'm going to dip it this time, and I'm going to leave it. Okay, and that's it. Now, for what I've understood, I'm supposed to let it sit for 24 hours. So I'm going to let this chill until tomorrow night at about 11 o'clock. I'm a night owl. Anyways, I'm going to let this sit for about 24 hours. But for you, it will be just a second. So I'll see you in a minute. Alright guys, so it's 10:30 at night and I've let this sit for pretty much 24 hours. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm kind of nervous. I think I got the dye too thin. It looks like it's spread all throughout the glue. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I really wasn't able to discern if it was supposed to spread through the glue or not from other videos that I've watched. So no clue how this is going to look, but I'm really nervous. So I'm going to take this to the sink. I'm going to rinse it off, get it all cleaned up, and see how it turns out. And then the last part of this is, regardless of how it looks, I'm planning on getting my record player and sealing this with a black outline, probably along the bottom edge of the disc and probably just on the edge of the rim on the top of the disc, just so it looks nice and clean, regardless of how it looks on top. So, gonna go clean it off. I'll be back in a second. So a couple of things. I do believe that I got the dye to water mixture wrong. I think I used too much water and the dye was too thin overall, which caused the coloring to come out nowhere near as vibrant as I wanted it to be. But that being said, for my very first attempt at the glue bed method, I'm definitely not going to complain. Like I say, it's not quite as vibrant as I really wanted it, and it's not really swirly. It's got more of this kind of marble look to it, but I'm okay with that. This looks absolutely incredible. It honestly got a pretty good edge all the way around too. There are only two little spots where the glue actually bled over just slightly onto the edge, but that's fine. I'm actually going to take this, and I've got some graphite eye dye poly and acetone, and I'm going to do a spin dye on the back side of the rim here, and I'm going to try to get right up along the edge of the rim and just seal it with black around that so it looks nice and crisp and really pops. But it's got this kind of marbly look to it. It's not quite as vibrant, but I couldn't be happier. The color scheme looks really sick with this purple stamp. I think this looks amazing. I'm really hyped to go to my tournament this Sunday and show this off to my buddies. So I'm going to cut now. I'm going to go ahead and do the spin dye, and then I will come back and show you guys the finished product. So I just got finished with the spin dye portion. Like I said, just sealing the underside of the rim and just on the very edge, just to make it look really clean and smooth. I'll have to let this sit for another probably about 12 hours just to make sure that the spin dye, the eye dye poly with the acetone, really sets into the disc and doesn't try to rub off at all. So I'm not going to touch that part. But this is what we're looking at. So I'm going to be careful. So here is the disc. Again, first run Lucid Evader. Like I said, the actual glue bed method didn't come out quite as well as I had hoped. Didn't come out quite as I had hoped, but really happy with it. It looks amazing. And then here you can see if I can get it to focus there. There. You can see there, I sealed the edge nice and clean along the edge, and then I sealed the backside back over here. Just a solid black seal all the way around the edge of the rim. And I honestly, for my very first attempt at this, I could not be happier. This looks absolutely amazing. Again, I've got a tournament coming up Sunday. I can't wait to throw this disc in that tournament. Can't wait to show it to my buddies and a couple of my card mates and see what they think of it. Anyways, I would call the first run kind of a success, basically. I would say it's not a failure. I love the disc. I think it looks great. I am going to attempt this again at some point, and like I said, I'm going to try using just straight RIT dye more. I'm probably just going to leave the water out and just see how the dye itself does, because that's the way that I've done my stencil method. I have not used any kind of water on the stencil method like people have suggested. I've just gone straight dye, and it's worked for me so far. So the next time I do this, I'm just going to use straight dye. We'll see how it works. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this kind of trial and error with me. If you did, again, please smash the like and subscribe buttons. This is Adam with High Action Disc Golf, and I'll catch you guys on the high road.